Zachary and I have always been ordinary, unremarkable people since we were kids. However, both of us have big dreams. In high school, I developed a crush on a guy who was tall, handsome, and wealthy, while he fell for a girl who was beautiful, fair-skinned, and rich. We hit it off right away and decided to collaborate, working hard together. Years later, we succeeded. I became the girlfriend of Felix from the listed conglomerate, and Zachary entered the By family company as a potential candidate to become Vivian's son-in-law. 2 years of smooth sailing passed, and both Zachary and I ran into similar troubles. Felix's childhood sweetheart returned home, and so did Vivian's first love. Sigh. Both Zachary and I rested our chins in our hands and let out a heavy sigh. What kind of terrifying place is abroad, where a surprise bombshell can drop at any time? Zachary was speechless, Zachary was bewildered. I'd been by Vivian's side for a full 5 years, accompanying her on overseas trips, shopping, and work every year. I've never heard of or seen any so-called white moonlight senior. I nodded in agreement. I've been Felix's girlfriend for 3 years and have met all his friends and family, yet I've never heard anything about his childhood sweetheart either. Just as we were about to successfully climb the ranks, a roadblock suddenly appeared, and this was already the 3rd time Zachary and I had gathered to discuss strategies. Ever since their childhood sweethearts returned, our lives have indeed been tougher. As we were talking, our phones dinged. We both pulled them out and glanced at them simultaneously. My resentful voice broke the silence. Lillian snatched my design project again. I just don't understand, what on earth is a jewelry designer like her thinking, coming to steal my home decor design project? Zachary, on the other hand, remained surprisingly calm. Henry has been appointed as the new director, and I've been transferred. It was expected. Seeing his nonchalant expression and even a faint smile, I was a bit puzzled. Are you okay? This is a good chance for me to take a break, Zachary said, his eyes slightly narrowing. The company hasn't been stable lately. Let him step into the storm for a while. I understood immediately. Vivian was just a young lady with no interest in running a company, while the shareholders were ambitious and divided into factions. I had been genuinely surprised when Zachary managed to establish himself among them before, never realizing my friend was so capable. What about you? Anyone can see that Lillian is targeting you. Zachary finished his milk tea in one gulp and then leisurely started eating his cheesecake. Me? I chuckled lightly. She's the little princess that everyone adores. Naturally, I can only stay out of her way for now. More importantly, although Lillian's subtle actions may have some impact on my design studio, it really isn't that significant. Back in the day, I went through immense hardships, and it was only by being Felix's girlfriend that I finally managed to open my own studio. The first wave of orders all came thanks to Felix, each one from his so-called friends and business partners. He gave me the opportunity, and I seized it. That's what led to who I am today. We all start with connections, there's no reason I could use them, but his dear childhood sweetheart couldn't, right? And, honestly speaking, Felix's so-called friends are also Lillian's childhood pals. I really don't want to go up against a bunch of second-generation rich kids, because sometimes their way of thinking is downright terrifying. After finishing his cake, Zachary pulled out his phone and started scrolling through short videos. He waved me off, saying, "You should go ahead. I'm on vacation, so I can finally relax and enjoy my phone." Watching the fishing video on his phone, I rolled my eyes and walked away in my furry slippers. Felix hadn't returned yet when I got home. Ever since Lillian came back to the country, their little clique seemed to have descended into a bizarre kind of frenzy. If it wasn't some kind of banquet, it was a lavish feast, and at the very least, it was wild nights at bars. From my initial confusion to my current numbness, I've grown used to it. After careful thought, I still couldn't recall why today was special. I took out my phone and scrolled through the chat history. Oh, it turns out today is the birthday of Lillian's favorite idol. Felix and the others invited the idol over to give Lillian a chance to celebrate his birthday. For a moment, I even felt a bit sorry for the big star, having to work on his birthday. Thinking about it, making money is never easy. I quickly called my personal beautician to treat myself. When Felix returned, I was lying on the couch enjoying a massage from the beautician. His expression was somewhat inexplicable as he placed the gift bag in his hand on the sofa. Lillian already told me everything. She didn't mean to take your design order, she just wanted to test her abilities. Please don't overthink it. I opened the gift bag to find a beautiful gold bracelet inside. It looked stunning on my wrist. Looking up with a gentle smile, I said, "It's fine. Anyway, there's still unfinished work at the company recently, and the team all have things to keep them busy." Felix patted my hair contentedly. "Have you had dinner? Should I call and order your favorite hairy crab?" "I've already eaten. Go change into something more comfortable first. I brought you some soup, drink it while it's still warm." Brought back some midnight snacks for myself on the way home. Since I got the gold bracelet, I figured I'd let him have this one. I sent him on his way and lost myself in admiring the gold bracelet. It looked absolutely stunning. My smooth moves just seemed perfectly matched with this bracelet. As for the design project Lillian snagged, I was secretly laughing maniacally inside. There's just no helping it, that project was commissioned by one of Felix's wealthy second-generation friends. This old friend of his is pretty honest and reliable, usually keeps to himself, but he's also a hardcore mama's boy. Last time, I brought my team to design and install a store for him, and his mother really managed to provide us with guidance for 20 hours out of 24 each day. The sheer number and oddity of her demands were enough to nearly strip a layer of skin off us. What's even more terrifying is that this woman demanded high quality at a low price, was exceptionally skilled at bargaining and throwing fits, and played the emotional and moral guilt card with every sentence. We were no match for her at all. Once the project was completed, we calculated the costs and realized we nearly ended up losing money. So, this time, as soon as I heard he bought a villa for his mother, I took the initiative to share the news in the company group chat. Within 3 days, every design team in the company swiftly found other projects to work on. When Lillian landed this bully of an order, I couldn't help but want to applaud her. Early in the morning, I had just arrived at the office when the company's chief designer, my best friend, came rushing over to poke me, asking, "Last night, did your Felix go out again?" "Huh? What happened again?" A few beautiful colleagues passing by gathered around, their eyes sparkling with curiosity. I gracefully rolled my eyes among my bunch of mischievous friends. "Are you all doing this on purpose? What else could it be?" Lillian threw another party, of course. I deliberately made a point to show off the gold bracelet, adding, "A gift I received yesterday." Impressive. My best friend gives me a thumbs up. "How many is this?" "The 17th, I calculate, then reveal the answer." "Wow, it's just that Felix's taste isn't quite refined. Gold bracelets are all beautiful, no matter what they look like. A boyfriend who gifts big gold bracelets has already passed the mark." My best friend furtively leans in close to me. "Honey, are you really not bothered about your Felix and Lillian's situation? Look." On my phone, a video composed of photos of Lillian has already become a hot topic. It includes group photos of her singing with idols, pictures of her laughing with various second-generation elites, and, of course, a photo of her and Felix sitting extremely close to each other. The most important, favorite people are all by my side. Today is another lucky day. Looks like they had quite a lively party. I picked up the documents and slapped them against her. "Get back to work, or I'll have to dock your pay as a capitalist, you know." Yes, I've upgraded from being the laborer to the capitalist. So, even without Felix, I can always find another man. Besides, for the past 3 years, I've been working hard to turn the title of Felix's girlfriend into tangible benefits, connecting with his family, friends, and resources. I learned a lot from him, gained fixed assets, and investment opportunities. I have already received so much. My parents are open-minded, happily running a farmhouse content with a little prosperity. My honest relatives are part of the home renovation team, and my imaginative close friends are in the design team. They are even more dedicated to the company than I am, working diligently day by day, wholeheartedly committed. Growing up, I never lacked much love, family affection and friendship have always been fulfilling throughout my life. As a result, love has always been to me, if I get it, I'm lucky, if I lose it, it's fate. Felix is great, and he treats me well, but if we don't end up together in the end, it's not something hard to accept. It's just that, in the end, I still feel somewhat unsettled. That evening, to celebrate the company dodging a difficult client, I generously treated everyone to an all-you-can-eat buffet. As the city lights began to glow, we arrived at the reservation spot. My best friend linked her arm in mine, chattering away about how her mom was pressuring her to get married. The rare buffet treat was delightful until my best friend nudged my arm again. "Hey, isn't that your Felix over there?" Following her pointed finger, I saw Felix standing in front of a hotel across the street. A woman in a flowing white dress rushed into his arms, and the two walked inside together while talking. I took out my phone, snapped a photo, and sent it to him. The next second, the phone rang. "Sylvia, where are you?" My voice was very calm. "Boyfriend, look to your left." I waved at him through the huge glass window, watching him push away the woman in his arms and explain, "Don't misunderstand, it's Lillian. You know I've always thought of her as a sister since childhood." And what he didn't see was Lillian, standing next to him, pretending to be upset as she clung to Felix and gave me a triumphant smile. Moving close to Felix's ear, he whispered sadly, "Sylvia, don't blame Felix. We were just going to see Mrs. Rosa together to discuss the initial design draft." Felix took the phone away from his ear. "Sylvia won't mind. You go ahead and order Mrs. Rosa's favorite dishes. I need to talk to Sylvia for a moment." After speaking, he left Lillian behind, crossed the street, and walked into the buffet restaurant. As usual, he greeted my employees, sat down beside me, and took my hand in his. Gently, he asked, "Later, would you like me to have someone take you home? Don't drink too much." I smiled, gently withdrew my hand, picked up the glass, and took a sip. "No need. Tonight is girls' night, and I'm planning to stay out late. You should go, and don't keep your Lillian waiting too long." I feigned a sarcastic tone, propping my face in my hand, sweeping my gaze over him from head to toe before turning away, not wanting to bother with him anymore. Felix remained composed, wrapping an arm around my waist, leaning in to whisper, "Don't stay out too late." As soon as he left, everyone at the table turned to look at me. I found it somewhat amusing. "What? Trying to dig into the boss's personal affairs? That's a deduction from your paycheck." Immediately, everyone lost interest and started ignoring me. My best friend blinked, asking, "Are you really okay?" "Really, it's nothing." I sighed. Maybe from the very beginning, I never thought Felix and I would last. Everything that has happened now feels acceptable, even bringing a sense of relief that it has finally come. After the gathering, I didn't go home. Instead, I went to my best friend's apartment to catch up on some TV shows and gossip. That night, I shared today's events with Zachary, and he sent me a photo of Vivian and Henry having dinner together. I immediately felt a sense of balance. Indeed, misery loves company. So, we spent about 800 messages on our phones just ranting and finally started calmly analyzing today's situation. "Zachary, I guess you're no match for that Lillian." "Me, and I guess you're no match for that Henry either." Looking at the photo, the guy is ridiculously handsome. "Zachary, ability is what makes a man charming." Vivian thinks he's incredibly capable. Otherwise, how could he have parachuted in?" Zachary sent me a gif of a hammer and forwarded a trending post about Lillian and Felix. "Felix, the crown prince, takes his girlfriend to meet the elders." I fell silent for a moment and sent Zachary a gif of a bloody, menacing sword. After that, having mutually heard each other, we both decided to cool off. I scrolled through my phone for a while, and my best friend winked and sidled over, pulling out a box. "Honey, why don't you stay at my place tonight?" "What's up?" I pretended to be on guard as I looked at her. She grinned mischievously. "I've learned a few new cocktail tricks. Tonight, we're not leaving until we're drunk." I smiled, knowing she had been watching a lot of cocktail making videos online lately, wanting to indulge in some artsy, bourgeois fun. Alright then, let me take a look at the appetizers first. We checked the house to ensure everything was secure, then brought out various fruits, snacks, side dishes, and all sorts of colorful alcoholic beverages. Feeling a bit tipsy, I struggled to rub my forehead when my phone rang. "What's up?" On the other end of the phone, there was a brief silence before Felix's voice came through. "Sylvia, I won't be coming back tonight. Lillian ran into some issues with work, so I'm staying to help her out." The effects of the alcohol caught me off guard, and I let out a scoff. "Felix is a jack of all trades, huh? I didn't even know you were into design." Felix started to say something, but I had already lost my patience. "Well, as long as you have fun." After saying that, I hung up, truly feeling it wasn't worth wasting more energy on these matters. With Lillian looking so determined and Felix being the only one who couldn't see it, what else was there to say? His friends and family are all doing their best to push them together while isolating me entirely. Whether Felix notices or not, the traces of me and him together are gradually fading away. I sighed softly, facing a situation where everyone was united against me. What could I possibly do? Look, as long as they were willing, I couldn't even get a chance to see Felix in person. I've never been one to torment myself. Since realizing this, there were moments of madness in my heart, but after thinking about the wonderful life I have now, I found I could be at peace again. However, it occurred to me that perhaps Felix was also waiting for me to give up and back down. The next day, I received another pair of gold bracelets. I raised an eyebrow, feeling somewhat surprised, and immediately put my guard up as the gifts seemed to be escalating. "Do you need something from me?" I admired the bracelets for a moment. Felix took my hand and gently stroked it. "It's just a small matter." I raised my eyebrow, withdrew my hand, and took a moment to admire my freshly done manicure with satisfaction. "Let me guess, is this about your Lillian?" Felix stiffened slightly and said in a hoarse voice, "Mrs. Rosa isn't satisfied with Lillian's design. I remember your team worked for her before. Could you share the design drafts with Lillian?" I kept staring at the peach blossom pattern on my nails, thinking of what my best friend said last night, about how she had specifically chosen it to attract good fortune. I replied cheerfully, "No problem. If the issue could be solved simply by sharing an old design draft, I wouldn't have avoided the Mrs. Rosa he mentioned like the plague." Felix's hand tightened, and he felt his heart constrict. He lowered his eyes, carefully studying me, and said, "Sylvia, I feel like you've changed a bit." I replied indifferently. "Maybe it's because we've spent so little time together lately, and everything feels new to you?" Felix seemed to smile. "Let's go on a trip together after this busy period. Didn't you say you wanted to go diving?" I blinked. When had I ever said I wanted to go diving? Well, it didn't matter. "Sure, that works. I've been busy lately too. I'm so busy. Tomorrow, I'm going to the Taoist temple with my best friend to pray for a love talisman. After all, my current boyfriend isn't reliable, I need to find the next one for myself." Seeing how happy I was, Felix might have felt a bit guilty. He lowered his head and kissed my hair. As expected, Lillian didn't gain any advantage from what she called Mrs. Rosa. Instead, she was scolded brutally. Mrs. Rosa came from a farming background, gained weight in middle age, and had a temper that was 100% volatile. Ordinary people dared not provoke her, because she was truly skilled at scolding, the kind that gets really dirty. Back when we were in the process of coordinating, we always sent out the company's middle-aged employees. The young ones would be scared stiff and bolt 8 feet away. Most of the time, I communicated with her son via phone and then showered praise on her son's aesthetic sense right in front of her, going through all kinds of hardships just to finalize the design draft. Lillian's teary-eyed expression after just a couple of scoldings made Mrs. Rosa even more furious, especially since, after her family became wealthy, she had seen far too many women just like her. In her view, all of this was just a way to seduce someone. Lillian, a jewelry designer, suddenly deciding with her son to design a villa for her, Mrs. Rosa had always believed this was nothing more than a ploy to seduce her son. I'm pretty amused to hear Felix talk about his troubles with Lillian every day. It's true that when your mindset changes, everything falls into place effortlessly. I even feel a sense of irony, like the struggles I went through at work are finally catching up to you. Less than a week later, Felix approached me with a proposal to transfer the design project to me. Sylvia, you have experience dealing with Mrs. Rosa. It shouldn't be too difficult for you. No, I firmly refused. The studio is fully booked for the next 3 months. Besides, Lillian is your sister. You can try to win her favor however you want, but Felix, don't use me to do you a favor. My expression darkened, and Felix's face grew sullen after being rejected. In the end, the two of us parted on bad terms. The next day, I saw photos of Felix and Lillian attending a charity event together. With their stunning looks as a handsome man and a beautiful woman, the media showered them with praises. Zachary, who was in the same unfortunate situation, even deliberately took a screenshot to mock me. In return, I sent him a photo of Vivian and Henry drinking coffee together. Humph, he's even worse off than I am. The Cold War between Felix and me lasted about a week. He and Lillian looked like the perfect couple at various banquets, while I had already gone on a short trip with my close friends and family. Oh, and by the way, it was just a coincidence, I also managed to get several peach blossom talismans. When I returned to the apartment Felix and I shared after my phone had charged, he looked at me with an expression that was a bit unsettling. I don't understand, what's really going on between us? Sylvia, I'm starting to feel tired of this. MHM, I responded dismissively, my patience with him completely worn out. Life without him lately had been truly enjoyable, and it suddenly dawned on me that, at this stage, my life felt even more vibrant without a man in it. Is it because of Lillian? I've already told you, I just treat her like a younger sister. She's just returned to the country and doesn't understand anything, so I've been introducing her to the circle. Nothing will ever happen between us. I'm utterly speechless. Lillian isn't the only daughter in her family. She has older brothers, older sisters, younger brothers, and younger sisters. None of her biological siblings are as enthusiastic as you, an outsider. And here you are talking about brother-sister bonds with me, I can't help but laugh. Felix, you may not have any biological younger sisters, but you have plenty of cousins and nieces. Many of them have studied abroad and returned, so why don't I see you taking them under your wing? Aside from you fooling yourself, everyone else can see the truth clearly. Felix tugged at his tie impatiently. Lillian is different from them. She grew up following us around, so it's only natural I'd pay more attention to her. I stopped him. Really, Felix, didn't your mother teach you not to listen to what people say, but to watch what they do? So tell me, what have you actually done? I directly sent him various recent photos of Felix and Lillian. Oh, it's not just me who's seen them. Many people have. If you still can't understand your own feelings, take a closer look at the comments section. The comments section is filled with people saying they should move the marriage registration office to them. Felix grew more irritable as he scrolled through his phone, and I was about to slip away to avoid any physical conflict. Suddenly, his phone rang. Felix suppressed his mood. Mom, what's up? Oh, your grandmother's birthday is in a few days. Remember to bring Lillian back with you. Felix glanced at me, somewhat perplexed, and said, Lillian will arrive with her family, naturally. I came back with Sylvia. Felix's mother was surprised. But didn't you and Sylvia break up a long time ago? When did we break up? If you didn't break up, why have you been spending every day with Lillian? I only see her as a sister. Sylvia and I haven't broken up. Now everyone is asking when you and Lillian will have your big day. And you tell me you see her as a sister. Felix, what kind of joke is this? Your father has already discussed several projects with Lillian's father. You'd better settle this matter with Sylvia quickly. Mom, Lillian, and I. Before he could finish, the call was abruptly ended. Felix took a deep breath, a hint of ferocity flashing in his eyes, yet his tone remained as gentle as ever. "Sylvia, it's just a misunderstanding on my mother's part. When we go back for Grandma's birthday, everyone will understand what's really going on." I smiled, this time not hiding the sarcasm in my eyes at all. "I'm not going. You can go and make a fool of yourself, but I don't want to face your picky relatives." Knowing full well that it was not going to be a pleasant gathering, why would I willingly put myself through that? Felix grabbed my arm, applying a bit of force. The smile faded from his face as he said seriously, "You're my girlfriend, of course you're coming. Later, I'll have someone send over clothes and gifts for you to choose from." After that, he simply picked up his coat and headed out the door. I had no intention of getting further involved with him. After all, with Felix and Lillian's impending marriage alliance on the horizon, as the insignificant one caught in the middle, it was time for me to step aside. "Felix, I'm not going." To avoid Felix, I went straight back to my hometown to spend time with my parents. Instead of forcing myself to attend an unfamiliar old lady's birthday party and possibly being mocked, I chose to go back and show some filial piety to my parents, even if it meant working hard for them. Of course, I also took my entire box of gold bracelets with me. I planned to break up with Felix, but for now, I don't dare provoke him, afraid he might suggest something like, "If you accompany me to my grandmother's birthday party, I'll agree to break up." After all, his way of thinking is a bit different from ordinary people, and I'm afraid of that. So, I decided to wait until after his grandmother's birthday before bringing it up. By then, I imagine Felix will have already been persuaded by the elders in his family about the matter with Lillian. At that point, I won't even need to bring it up myself, I'll just happily find myself single. Zachary looked down on me for running away. I rolled my eyes and waved a rolling pin at this person who had come to my family's farmhouse to freeload food and drink, threatening him, "Hurry up and wrap these dumplings, the guests are waiting to eat." Someone with millions in assets, an elite talent worth millions, wrapping dumplings, can't you at least raise the price? Charge at least 10 yuan per plate, Zachary grumbled, working swiftly and efficiently with his hands and feet. I snorted, "Don't even think about it." The truth is, I did mention raising it a little, but my parents simply didn't agree. "What's going on with you? Haven't you gone back to the company yet?" I asked curiously. Zachary shrugged, "I messed up. Henry has already sided with other shareholders, and both Vivian and I were deceived. Now he's sitting firmly in his director's position, and I have no chance." I frowned, "Aren't you going to remind your goddess?" Zachary lowered his gaze, "Already tried, got chewed out. That's why I'm hiding out at your place." I gave him a serious look, "So, what are you planning to do next?" Zachary let out a relaxed sigh, "I might buy a house by the sea, open a small inn, fish every day, and eat seafood." I continued to shape the dumpling skins and smiled, "I remember when we were kids, you said you really hated winter and wanted to buy a house by the sea when you grew up, facing the ocean, with spring blossoms." Zachary smiled, "Yeah, I can't believe you still remember that. I just suddenly thought about those childhood days and felt that kind of life would be so good." From then on, I stopped worrying about him. We are both people who never dwell on internal conflicts. Love has never been the most important thing in life, it's just a way of experiencing life. When you encounter it, take it seriously, but if it doesn't fit, make sure to withdraw as early as possible. I received several calls and WeChat messages from Felix but didn't respond to any of them. Since I had already made up my mind, there was no need for any lingering attachments. However, his brothers secretly sent me messages, various photos of Felix and Lillian, the implications of which were obvious without saying a word. Lillian indeed stole the show at the birthday party, using her sweet talk and charming ways to make Felix's elders laugh and feel delighted. I glanced at them briefly and gave up. With Lillian's CEO father backing her, she would be welcome anywhere she went. Instead, Zachary inexplicably received a message from Vivian, hoping he could return to the company to help her handle some official matters. He ignored it and had already begun checking out property listings by the sea. Finally, under the barrage of calls from my best friend, I had no choice but to soothe her frustration as an overworked employee and decided to organize a company-wide seaside team-building trip. Yes, Zachary had long decided on his retirement location, he just needed to check it out in person. Meanwhile, I figured it was the perfect opportunity to take my employees for some relaxation. A few days later, while my best friend and I were admiring handsome men by the sea, I received a call from my aunt back home, saying a man had come looking for me at my family's house. I was utterly speechless and worried about my reputation back home. I couldn't even imagine how dramatic my image must have become in the minds of my family and friends after that phone call. I could only say in a gentle tone, "Auntie, what boyfriend do I have? We broke up a long time ago." My aunt nodded in agreement. "Yes, exactly. I just remembered, your mom mentioned before that she wanted to arrange a blind date for you. So that guy is your ex-boyfriend, right?" "Yes, he cheated on me, so I dumped him." "Gosh, look at him, so tall, so handsome, just as expected, impossible to raise." I was about to say a few words and hang up when I heard my aunt's excited tone. "Sylvia, a woman is chasing after your ex-boyfriend. Let me see, she's not as pretty as you. How did you lose?" This was purely due to the family bias. I was well aware of Lillian's looks advantage. I choked up for a moment and said, "Her family owns a big company, and she's rich." My aunt held the phone and gave me a live commentary. "Gosh, that girl looks like she's about to burst into tears after just a few words. Are all the women in big cities like this?" I'm utterly speechless, left at a loss for words once again. That girl wouldn't let go, and your ex-boyfriend looked like he was about to hit someone. "Sylvia, I sold you out. Your ex is just too wealthy. He gave me 10,000, so I told him about your whereabouts. Sylvia, when you get back, I'll split it with you." I also had some curse words on the tip of my tongue, but the call was hung up before I could utter them. That night, the homestay we were staying at organized a bonfire party, and everyone was getting really into it. Zachary was holding a small notebook with a smile on his face. I curiously peeked over and said, "What kind of weird scribbles are these? I can't make any sense of them." "I'm secretly learning, so of course I can't write it out in the open," Zachary retorted confidently. "I've looked around, and the tourism industry here is really well developed. There are also plenty of young people, so it seems like a nice place to live." I nodded in agreement. It's definitely a pleasant place to have fun. We walked to the bar on the beach, grabbed a cocktail, and chatted while drinking. Zachary was quite excited, talking about the guest house he planned to run in the future, even gesturing animatedly, looking very happy. "Who is he?" Felix's voice turned gloomy. "Is he the reason you don't want to go home with me?" I paused for a moment, feeling that he was twisting things a bit. Smiling, I spoke in a leisurely tone. "He's a brother I grew up with. He's unemployed recently, so I'm just keeping him company. Don't worry, no need to misunderstand, I consider him as a real brother." "I've never heard him mention having a sister like you," came a haughty female voice from the side. I turned to look. "Oh, Vivian is here too." Zachary had a strong sense of conscience. "You know too little about my affairs, Mississippi Sylvia and I grew up together, we've been inseparable since childhood. I've always treated her parents as if they were my own. Isn't it only fitting that I call her sister?" Both Felix and Vivian wore unpleasant expressions, exchanging a disdainful glance before walking over to our side. "Sylvia, let's have a private chat." "Zachary, let's have a private chat." I thought about it and agreed. After all, we haven't officially broken up, and this could be an opportunity. As we walked along the beach, the deep and tranquil sea and the gentle sea breeze gradually calmed my mind. I spoke first. "Felix, congratulations." Felix pursed his lips and asked, word by word, "Congratulations for what?" I took out my phone and showed him the headline, "News of Felix and Lillian's Marriage Alliance." He remained silent for a moment, then spoke. "Sylvia, do you believe me? Give me time, I will handle these matters properly. I have never betrayed you." I looked at him seriously and said, "None of that matters anymore. To me, you are no longer the person I want to spend my life with." Felix grabbed my hand, revealing an expression of distress. Why? We were doing so well before. Because I want a man who will always choose me first, not someone who keeps putting others before me, leaving me behind all alone. Felix recalled all the past events and asked in a hoarse voice, "You have always been the best choice in my heart. We can start over. You have a very, very long time to prove that my feelings for you are genuine." I stared at him for a moment, sighed, and said, "There must have been something wrong somewhere. I have always failed to feel your sincerity. Felix, we really aren't suited for each other." Felix looked at me in disbelief, finding it hard to understand how I could say such cruel words. "I always thought we were perfect together." I smiled and said firmly, "Let's break up." That night, I broke up with Felix, and Zachary also said goodbye to Vivian. Felix and Vivian were soon called back by their families, while we continued to enjoy the rare leisurely life. Adult life may have many unavoidable compromises, but sometimes it is also simple. At the very least, we must follow our hearts. Zachary's homestay opened, and thanks to his already strong social connections, people often went there for vacations and team-building events. Business was booming, and he even made friends with a group of fishing enthusiasts, living a blissful life. I wasn't that lucky. The studio couldn't be relocated, and for the sake of performance, I couldn't even delete Felix's contact information. After all, he was also one of my major clients. It's just that he and Lillian never managed to come to fruition. Felix tried to push his other brothers to get in touch with Lillian, but none of them were willing. Instead, they turned around and invited me to dinner. I took the opportunity to sign several deals. Lillian enjoyed the attention and the pursuit from everyone, remaining unmoved by marriage, and she lived quite well every day. Great, everyone is heading toward a bright future.